Hello, class. Just checking in at the beginning of week 4. Sorry for the lack of video last week. Just one of those weeks. I wanted to mention a couple things generally about the class as we get closer to the end. We're a little more than halfway. And then some specifics about this week. So first off, wanted to mention late work policy. So I'll accept late work up until 1 week after the class ends. So plenty of time to turn in anything that you've fallen behind on. Warner requires a 20% reduction in the grade for late work, so we'll stick with that policy. But in general, it is preferable to turn it in late than not at all. So please do turn in those assignments. The other thing I wanted to note is your feedback is very valuable as we're working through this course. It's the first time that it's been offered online, so we are looking for as much feedback as possible. I do not take it personally, so if you have challenges, if you think there are weak spots, if you think some things just aren't working, please let me know that. In fact, I'm going to open up a forum for us to discuss these things. If you want to post your thoughts and have students respond to them, have me respond to them, that'd be a great place to do it. If you prefer just to send an email so that it's more private, that would be great. Finally, you'll have an opportunity, of course, to do the class review, which will be a completely anonymous review of the course. So if you don't want your name attached to it, don't feel comfortable with that, you'll definitely be able to get that anonymous feedback at the end of the course. So I'll open up that feedback module, which will appear in Moodle towards the end of this week. So there's some just general things. Let's talk a little bit about the things that are due this week. The first thing, first forum question is by faith or works. So you're going to compare some of Paul's thoughts to some of James's thoughts. So what you're going to do is read the book of James, which is a short book, not too many chapters there. It may take you half an hour or so to read through it. And then you're going to reflect on the question, what biblical justification might someone have in advocating a works-based salvation over a faith-based salvation? It's a complicated way of saying, is faith enough to be a Christian, or works required? Does faith require works? Do we have to do something to be a Christian? So you can reflect on those ideas. It's a complicated question, and if you feel like it is something that you just are having a difficult time addressing, please just write that. Just say exactly that. I have no idea. This is way beyond me. I don't really understand the question, or these are just my thoughts. I don't know if they're what the question is asking. I don't know if it addresses the question. Wherever you're at, please just post that, and then myself and others in the class will respond, and we'll be able to help develop your thoughts, and the conversation will help to clarify things. So don't feel bad. Don't feel like you're missing something if you're not able to answer the question. A great answer is I don't know, and you just can ask for help, and we'll dialogue together about it. The next question really deals with some difficult issues, and this is really where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, in this course. We're going to compare Old Testament passages with New Testament passages and some really hot topics that we deal with today. So things such as slavery, keeping the Sabbath, which is work on the Sabbath day, issues revolving around homosexuality and women in leadership, or the equality of genders in society. So you're going to read some passages from the Old Testament, and you're going to compare them to the New Testament, and then you're going to reflect on how we deal with these issues today. So are these issues dealt with the same today as they were in the past? Have things changed? Does the New Testament deal with these issues differently than the Old Testament? So you're going to compare these passages. You're going to watch a little West Wing video, a clip from YouTube. I'll give you kind of a powerful introduction to these questions. This video can be offensive to both sides. If you find yourself on one side or the other, this video can be challenging to watch, but I think it really gets the conversation going well. So go ahead and watch that, read the passages, and then reflect on questions such as, what were the differences between the Old and New Testament, and what do we do today with these very important issues? So we'll begin to think about how we read the Bible and use the Bible in our culture today. I think all of us have probably heard a politician quote the Bible, or you'll have friends or your pastors quoting the Bible. And you may think to yourself, is that really what the Bible says? I know you're quoting the Bible, but is that really what it means? Is that really what it says? Part of this class is designed to give us the tools to go to those passages and read them in context to try to figure out if that's really what the Bible says. And if not, what is it trying to tell us and how do we apply it to our lives? So those are two discussion questions for the week. Both of them are quite challenging, I think, but reflect as you are able on those questions, and then I look forward to the dialogue that flows out of it. I've really been pleased reading through the forum questions and the dialogue going back and forth. Many of you are going above and beyond, responding to many more than just two of your peers' posts, and just really getting some great dialogue going, so I appreciate that. The creative assignment for this week is going to be housed in Prezi, which may be a new tool for many of you. It's, I think, pretty easy to get into. There's a little tutorial if you need. There's a link in the syllabus if you want to go through that tutorial. It's pretty similar to the timeline that we did in Dippity in the second week. Essentially what you're going to do is produce a timeline that tells about the development of the early church as reflected in the book of Acts. So you'll read the book of Acts, or skim through many parts of it, and you're going to put together essentially a timeline of the major events and major figures discussed in the group or in the book of Acts. What I'm going to ask for is at least 10 events or people. So include at least 10 events or people in this Prezi timeline. So you're also going to want to include creative aspects, so videos, images, music, explanations. Really try to get into the creative side of this so that it can be a visual undertaking that is impactful not just in the details in the research, but also that tells a story, right? So I really enjoy these creative aspects, and I hope that the challenge of the technology doesn't hold you back from being as creative as possible. If you have any questions, please do let me know. I'm pretty familiar with Prezi, so I can help you tackle that if you're finding it challenging. But again, 10 people or events from the book of Acts that help lay out the development of the church after Jesus' life. What happens? So try to tell that story with some pictures, videos, music, whatever else you can to really tell that story will be great. So the development of the early church is kind of your creative assignment for the week. The interpretive essay is your written essay for the week. You're going to be working with a Pauline letter. So we've worked with a narrative, we've worked with a gospel, we've worked with a psalm, now we're working with a letter. You're going to choose either Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, or 1 Thessalonians as listed in the syllabus. And this essay is a bit shorter than the essay such as you did with the Psalms, so it's just 2 to 3 pages. And you got 5 things you need to do. The syllabus lists out 5 things. And essentially your grade is going to be assigned based on whether or not you do those 5 things. If you leave one out, you're going to lose a large portion of your grade. If you do all 5 of those, you're essentially going to get a great grade. So make sure you tackle each of those 5 sections. First, you're going to identify the main parts. You're going to break the letter down into its main 5 parts as discussed in the Carver text. So make sure you read this chapter in the Carver text. It will clearly tell you what the 5 parts are of a letter and how to break them out, how to find them as you're reading the letter. Then you're going to tell me what topics are discussed in the letter. Then you're going to tell me what methods Paul uses to bring those topics alive. So what figurative language, what rhetorical devices, what creative elements does Paul use? Does he use metaphors or similes? Does he quote the Old Testament? Does he use biographical statements such as talking about himself? What creative elements does Paul use to get his message across? Carver talks about maybe 15 or 20 creative elements or stylistic features that authors use in New Testament letters. So again, read that chapter in the Carver text and then reflect on those creative elements that the author uses. You're also going to talk about the significant ethical instructions that the author talks about in the letter. Carver says that the 4th section of most New Testament letters is a moral or ethical instruction section. So reflect on that. What does it mean to be a Christian? What do Christians do? What does the Christian life look like according to this letter? So you can reflect on that, or you should need to reflect on that in your essay. And then finally, you're going to tell me how this letter impacts you. What's your reflection? What are your thoughts? What's your response to the main message or to the ethical instruction section? So that's your essay, 2 to 3 pages. Finally, you're going to do a quiz. This is the fourth of the quizzes. It looks like the quizzes have been going pretty well. But remember, I think I've mentioned this in a previous video, that at the end of the class, after the class ends, you will have a chance to redo all of your quizzes. So this is your first attempt. You'll have a second attempt. So if you don't do so well on this one, don't worry too much about it, because you'll have a second try to go through it to improve your grade, which I think is a really excellent learning opportunity, that we get to take the first attempt with no fear, right? You just get to study as much as you can, you tackle the quiz, do as good as you can. And if you don't do so great, don't need to worry about it, because you got a second attempt, which will help you review the material, but also really tackle those sections that you haven't done so well on in the past. So that's this week. That's week 4. I want to emphasize that you're doing great. You don't need to worry too much about where you stand. If you're turning in all of your assignments, you're going to do quite well. The only way to not do well in this class is to not turn in assignments. So don't get hung up too much on, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Please just ask me your questions. I'll respond as quickly as I can. And just rest assured that you are doing well, and just tackle them as best you can. And if you don't know, tell me that in the assignment. I'm not really sure if I did this right, but here it is, and then I'll let you know. And if you really just didn't do an assignment well, I'll give you an opportunity to redo it if you like. Not really worried about that sort of thing. If you want a chance to rework something or improve on something, just let me know, and we will go ahead and tackle that together. All right, so there we have it. I'm going to post a new form for you to give me reflections on the class, what things are working well, what things have been challenging, where you think there's room for improvement, any questions that you have. And then make sure you are reflecting in the forum post. Make sure you're responding to your fellow classmates. And I look forward to your assignments this week. So, thank you very much. And my final note is I'm out of town next week. I leave Monday and don't get back until Sunday. I'm going to be in England for 6 days. So that will restrict a bit of when I can do my grading and when I can respond to your post. But I should have time while I'm there to respond to everybody. But it may just slow me down because I'll be traveling Monday, Tuesday, and just on a whole different time zone. Okay, that's it. I hope you're all doing well, and I look forward to interacting with you over the next week online. Talk to you soon. Thanks.